They were called nasties, and they were nasty.
Some of the things that we've seen are so horrific.
These films not only affect young people, but I believe they affect adults as well.
An extravaganza of gory violence capable of depraving and corrupting those who watched it.
I have never seen a video nasty. I wouldn't. I actually don't need to see what I know is in that film.
And welcome back to another episode of Doing the Nasty podcast. This is season 2, episode number 9. I'm one of your hosts on this show, and I know what you're thinking, Duncan. I mean, buddy, we support you, we love what you do, but there was no nasty last month. And you're right, there wasn't. And that is on me, ladies and gents. That is on me and my hectic schedule. But guess what? You are getting 2 this month, so you fucking rein that neck in. Sit your ass down and enjoy this free fucking content, motherfucker. Hi, I'm Duncan McLeish, your host. Welcome to Doing the Nasty podcast, episode number 9. Joining me as always on season 2 is my co-host all the way over in Wyoming, which I know what you're thinking, sounds up like a made up Narnia place, but no, it is real and it's in America, so god damn it, he is right and you're wrong. How you doing, Mark Ball?
I'm doing good. Wyoming is made up. Don't come here. I mean, Duncan can come here, but the rest of you stay the fuck away.
Thank you.
You stay in your big cities where you're fucking all plague rats, apparently.
Plague rats.
Yeah. I was going to make a really tasteless joke about the September episode being on an airplane and crashing into a building or something, but we'll forgo that. There's enough terrible things going on. Our president's got the Rona, so that's fucking cool.
Yeah.
To keep up with the theme of the new episodes doing the nasty always being, what's the latest catastrophe? Well, our president's got the Rona.
Yep.
He's in Walter Reed, and they got him, I'm sure, pretty well on lockdown, and my fucking tax-paying dollars are going to his healthcare, which is cool. It's you know, he's supposedly a billionaire, and I can pay for his fucking healthcare, but God knows he won't pay for mine. So
there's a reason billionaires become billionaires, and it's because they're very thrifty with their money, Mark.
Yep, they know how to work the system and fuck the tax money. You know,
they're not like you and I going out and buying copies of movies for Doing the Nasty, and then subsequently, like, movies that were unfinished, like, because we're going to get to that, because you went a bit daft after the last episode, and you were like, Mafia Massacre style, I will have that, and I will also have his other movie, which was?
Gone with the Pope, which was like the opposite of the latest catastrophe. That was the latest, like, greatest thing that's ever happened to me, which was discovering a copy of fucking Gone with the Pope, which is Duke Mitchell's other unfinished movie, which they did finish, and oh boy, man, yeah, if you thought Massacre Mafia style was weird, I cannot wait until you see Gone with the Pope, because it was like a truckload more cocaine's worth of fucking craziness above Massacre Mafia style. It's fucking insane. It's exactly what it sounds like. Like, fucking hatch a plot to, well, it's got like a weird, like, getting out of jail story at the beginning, and then
of course it does.
Duke Mitchell and his buds hatch a plot to kidnap the Pope and charge every Christian $1 to release him from ransom. That happens in that movie. A lot of other insane shit happens in that movie, but yeah, that they do kidnap the Pope. So I don't know what we're gonna do with that, but
it's a commentary. It has to be a commentary. It has to be a movie commentary somewhere down the line.
It's just gonna be me pissing my pants for 90 minutes, basically, and laughing until I hyperventilate. But yeah. Coming soon on that, because we have to do it. It's one of those
I'm sold.
I'd never fucking even heard of either of those two movies until, like, we came to do this show. So I feel like we owe it to the ghost of Duke Mitchell to do a commentary for Gone with the fucking Pope.
This is the beauty of the format of this show, is there are, like, obviously there's going to be, it was the same when me and Andy went through the first 2 tier lists. I mean, there was movies there that we knew for sure by reputation and had seen, and then there was other movies that completely, you know, were like, you know, new finds for me, which other people out there were like, I've been championing this movie for years, and I'm like, I can see why. I mean, the one that always kind of stood out to me for, not for goofiness or how the fuck is this a thing, was Dead and Buried. Dead and Buried floored me the first time I saw it, because it was like something right out the Twilight Zone, and it still blows my mind that that movie actually was on the Nasties list, because it feels too well made to be a kind of Nasties movie. But yeah, this is the beauty of these run-throughs. In the case of this one, 2 movies I have never seen before in this episode, so up until this week, it was going to be a kind of first-time watching. I suppose we should tell the people what we're doing. We're doing a kind of very early Charles Band outing in Parasite, not to be confused with Boon Joon-ho's Oscar-winning Parasite. Please don't get those movies muddled up.
Yeah, not the good one.
Yeah, well, I don't know. One's got Demi Moore in it, so, as a lemon farmer, but we'll get to that. Such a weird fucking choice. And then we'll be following that up with the Erotic Rites of Frankenstein, making his way to the arena, weighing in a sexy, sleazy Eurosploitation sex fucking orgy weight. It's Jesús Franco making his appearance for the first time on season 2. It won't be the last. I dare say he'll pop up somewhere. I'll be very surprised if this is the only Franco movie on the the tier 3 list.
Did he have
that
movies
movie
on
was
on the other 2 lists?
Oh yeah, he had at least 1 or 2, I think. At least 1 or 2. The only one that springs to mind is Demon Hunter, which is like, you've no idea how fucking, like, you want to talk about finding gems of a movie and just going, how does this exist? If memory serves, and I've watched so many, and this is the problem, that memory serves, the Demon Hunter movie has like this giant with kind of goggly eyes who throws people, and when he throws them, they do the Steve Austin $6 Million Man sound. Like it's like, I think it's a cannibal movie, if memory serves. It's delightfully bad. I mean, to the point where I was just like, this is what, and we'll get to. I have a horrible blind spot when it comes to my criticism towards Jesús Franco. I feel like I constantly have to do an apology tour for him, because there's something about his filmmaking that and his filmmaking's bad. It just resonates really well with me. So yeah, that's the 2 movies we're covering this one. We are, like I say, dropping 2 episodes this month to make up for the fact that, to be honest, summer was dominated with my other podcast and the summer series, of which Mark more than held his weight there by doing essentially 20 movie reviews there and a massive almost 5-hour roundtable. So that's kind of why a lot of these shows on this particular network have been shunted a week and a half out of schedule, but we are going to endeavour this month to put us back on track. So yeah, episode 10 should drop in or around the Halloween time. You've been a busy guy though. We were talking just before I hit record there, and you have been partaking in a little festival experience from the comfort of your own chair. Remember when people used to moan about, you know, I really want to go and see that, but I just really wish that I could just sleep in my own bed and sit in my own chair and all the rest. You got to do that, and I would hazard a guess that sometimes it doesn't always live up to the expectation. Like, when you get what you want, it might not be the best thing, and sometimes sitting in a sweaty room surrounded by people of questionable personal health and hygiene, sometimes that's a better experience to take in festival movies. What say you?
Yeah, there's definitely pros and cons to both. I think that really my biggest fucking gripe about it is all technical things, like that I don't quite have good enough internet here to be able to stream movies in like really good resolution, so it still kind of feels like you're watching a bootleg of these movies at home, just because it's like it's buffering as good as it can, but like, you know, there's still limitations, especially on busy nights when everybody's watching the same thing at the same time. Like, so that's kind of my big gripe about it. But yeah, technically, since we recorded last, I've started and finished like two 2 film festivals because Telluride had a couple of advanced screenings the last couple weeks. I got to see a movie called Alone, which is a really kind of great cat and mouse. It's like if Ned Flanders was a serial killer and like captures this chick and locks her in a cabin, and it takes place in like Pacific Northwest, like Oregon forest type stuff. Really solid. I also saw a 12-Hour Shift, which is...
Oh, yeah, that's the Angela Davis movie, isn't it?
Yeah. She plays like a nurse in a hospital where they're doing nefarious things. I won't spoil too much of it. Brea Grant, I think, is the director. I think it's her first movie that she's directed.
Really? Yeah, because she's in After Midnight, isn't she? And she's fucking great in After Midnight. So
yeah, she's fantastic. And she directs the absolute shit out of this movie. I would never have guessed that this was somebody's first feature, because it is like really professionally done. Not so much a horror movie as more like a dark comedy kind of, but Angela Bettis is fucking fantastic in it. She's like perfectly cast. So those were both like really great ones to start off Telluride. That one's the actual fest kicks off mid-October, and it sounds like they got a pretty big slate of movies. I think there's like 17 and like a bunch of shorts and stuff playing. But
nice.
So I'm looking forward to that. We also did they were calling it Celebration of Fantastic Fest, which is annoying because now like the movies that played that for this, that's what it says on the little laurels that they get to put on their poster and their box art. Doesn't say official Fantastic Fest selection. It says like selection of Celebration of Fantastic. It's like, why don't you just call it fucking Fantastic Fest at home or something? Like, it's like a lot of people were probably really fucking pumped at the beginning of the year that their movies are going to play this festival, but I digress. Got to see a pretty solid werewolf movie from France called Teddy.
Yes, I've heard of this, yeah.
It was very punk rock and sufficiently gory and just really well done. Like a little bit of French existentialism. That was the first thing that played. Saw a couple things. I missed a bunch of shit because their timing, like we were talking about before, was their windows were really short to watch stuff, so I kind of fucked off some of the stuff and got busy with work. Saw a great kind of thriller called The Boy Behind the Door. Major People Under the Stairs vibes.
Oh, you're selling it to me. Selling it to me, Mark.
I don't want to tell. I don't want to say too much more about it because I went into this like completely blind and completely cold, and like it fucking. I was thoroughly shook by the end of this movie. It's like one of the like best fucking. Again, not so much a horror movie as like a really creepy, dark thriller kind of thing, but that was The Boy Behind the Door. I'm sure it's coming out here pretty soon. It was fucking fantastic.
Nice.
Really solid. Saw a restoration of Action USA, a fucking old school sort of lost Cameron Mitchell starring action movie that I think was directed all by stuntmen, because it's insane 80s like car crash fucking stunt work and insane shit for 90 minutes. I'm sure that's coming out like Vinegar Syndrome, something, Kino, somebody like that.
Oh yes, that's their bread and butter. So
a few other things. My favorite thing from Fantastic Fest I saw was The Queen of Black Magic, which is the new one from not Timo, the other Mo Brothers guy. I think that's Chemo. Yeah, of the Raid fame, and they've directed a few other things. I'm loving these two guys' work between like stuff like this and May the Devil Take You and The Night Comes for Us. Ever since the Raid and these guys kind of split off and are doing their own movies on their own, I think their goal is just to make like either the most insane action movies or the grossest horror movies to kind of one up the other dude. And it's just like this friendly competition between the two of them, because this was like one of the most insanely fucking violent movies I've seen in a long time. Like this one would have made the Video Nasty censors like shit their pants if they would have seen this movie, because it is so fucking banana pants and has like, it's such an insane combination of so many things. It's like kind of Evil Dead, kind of The Orphanage. There's some like real strong like Herschel Gordon Lewis kind of vibes, and like a little bit of like fucking Martyrs thrown in there at the end, and it's also kind of a ghost story. It starts off with a bus full of dead orphans. I'll put it that way. Like this movie is heavy fucking metal. It's like gorier than a Gwar show, and I can't fucking recommend it enough. I saw the Shudder logo at the beginning of this, so I assume Shudder's putting it out pretty soon.
Oh, Shudder's nailing it this year. Like Shudder,
so much good stuff. I finally got around to watching Host, the Zoom.
Oh, it's great, isn't it?
It's so fucking good. I was like legitimately creeped out. And I went into it thinking that I was gonna hate it. I was like, I don't really like found footage movies and just it seemed real gimmicky to me. And man, I was fucking shocked at how much
that movie
I liked
got
that movie.
two like proper jump scares with me. And I'll tell you right now, I can tell you, counting on one hand, how many movies in the last 5 years have landed two jump scares with me in a movie. I just don't. I usually can see them coming a mile off, and it landed. Yeah, that's a movie that to me uses its conceit of, well, Zoom calls last 40 minutes, so it's 40 minutes. I mean, the movie runs just under an hour, and you get your little setup before and after, and that to me is how found footage movies should be. I don't want a hour and 45 minute found footage movie. I mean, what the fuck are we doing here?
It's too much shaky cam. You get a fucking headache by the end of that.
Yeah, it just does. It does the good shit, gets in, gets it done, and I mean that's a lockdown project. So that's someone coming up with a script, employing some actors, getting them to do all the filming on their side, editing it all together, and then delivering it out. And Shudder having the confidence to put their weight behind that, and that was trending for a long time, which just made me happy.
Everybody was talking about it, and I finally got around to watch it. I'm glad, honestly, that I didn't watch it at night, because it was legit a spooky, creepy ass movie, and I don't believe in ghosts at all or anything, but I watched it in the morning, and I had goosebumps the whole fucking last good chunk of it.
Yeah, it's a really, really good one, but Shudder's they're not. I mean, the beauty of it is they're just acquiring a lot of stuff just now right off the festival scene, or putting their weight behind it, and I think that was where I think as a platform they'd struggled for in the last couple of years. Is I think they were waiting too long to acquire things, or waiting for things to run out of their distribution on a Netflix or an Amazon to kind of snap up for older films, where to me what they should be doing is focusing as much of their energy as possible and acquiring new stuff, giving them the exclusivity that, I mean, Shudder does not cost a lot of money a month, and what I'm now finding is where in the past I've been paying for it since it came out as a service, and there would be 2-3 months I would not log in at all, but now there's at least 2 movies every month I'm watching from the service, and with the slate of stuff that's coming over, specifically this month, specifically with the Cleansing Hour, which is a movie that I thought was brilliant at Fright Fest, and the Mortuary Collection, which is maybe one of my favourite anthologies in a long fucking time. The fact that they're doing that for these filmmakers as well, it's a great platform for them to get their movies out to an audience of people specifically catered for that movie, rather than dropping it on an Amazon, which may have more eyes, but you're lost amongst 8 million movies which have similar posters. So it's good.
You get that more curated kind of the people that are running Shudder are humongous horror fans, and it's never been about becoming a huge financial success thing. They're doing it because they love the stuff that they're putting out, and it makes me happy that a lot of these movies are finding a home where it's all all of your great indie horror movies that are coming out are kind of falling on Shudder, and they're all right in one place, like you said. Dig fucking all that.
It's like a festival experience, but with no time frame. You know what I mean? You could sit down and plan a whole night of Shudder movies and cover all the bases from psychological horror right through to just straight up splatter gore. And I think that's great about it, and it's one of the reasons I read, was it 2 weeks ago, they announced that they'd finally cracked the 1 million subscriber mark,
Yeah, I did see that.
And I'm like, fucking well done, guy. That's perseverance. That is understanding that, having the confidence in your product to understand that it's always going to be shaky the first couple of years, but eventually, if you believe in your product and you work hard at it and you continually work hard on it and you create what the audience wants, find out what your audience wants and then give them what they want, then, you know, good things will come. So, yeah, I mean, I'm excited. I can't wait. And if all these movies, I'm the same as you, I've had a couple of screeners in the last month for titles, and the Shudder logos popped up at the beginning, and I'm like, alright. Like, okay, and I'm cool with that, because like I say, I'm much. It's better to see these. Is it not better, do you think, from a festival experience, watching a movie and then knowing that, like, someone like a Shudder's got it, so people will get to see it, rather than seeing a movie that you really like and you want to talk about and then it disappears for 4 years because it can't find distribution?
Yep, yeah, there's been a bunch of movies like that, and that's always frustrating. Yeah, when you want to talk to people about it, but like, yeah, you've only got your festival friends usually that, you know, actually saw it, and everybody else is like, oh, that sounds cool. Where and when can I see that? And you're like, I don't fucking know. Yeah,
I walked out at Fright Fest, was it 2 years ago, saying Tigers Are Not Afraid is, you know, is my film of the year. It's the film of the festival.
That took a while to come out.
It's fucking incredible. And then it took a year and a half for that to finally get released on, and it was Shudder that picked up, and I couldn't be any happier that Shudder picked it up. But I did wonder, I know it was still doing its festival run, and was still playing festival dates right up till when it got released on Shudder, but the other part of me was like, this movie should have been out in theatres, even on the indie scene or something, like before Shudder had even, before it had to end up on Shudder, you know what I mean? This movie should have been out there because of the quality and the craft and just generally how great it was. But the fact that it did eventually become available there for everyone to go and check it out, or, you know, I had people just signing up for the week free for Shudder so they could check it out, and they're now Shudder subscribers, so I'm happy about that. But yeah, it's a different. This is the new norm. This is going to be us for a little while now. I think it's going to be digital festivals, and, you know, the big news coming out today in the UK is the second largest cinema chain is about to close till next year, until movies start coming out, because of all the movies they pinned their hopes on. They pinned their hopes on James Bond. I mean,
which, I mean, at this point I'm already like starting to forget a lot of the movies that were supposed to come out this year. So I mean, maybe that was like their huge tentpole movie for the year, but yeah, I don't know.
It's a weird one. It's, you know, the James Bond movie will make a lot of money when it's released, but I don't know if, see, my problem is they're saying, well, if James Bond isn't out in the cinema, then people aren't coming in their droves to the cinema. James Bond's going to be in the cinema a month. Then what's your plan? You know what I mean? What's your next? And I think that's the short. It feels like kind of almost short-sighted naivety in the face of short-term gains, when what you should be playing is the long-term product. People want the cinema experience, so just put movies on. Right, it might not necessarily cater to everyone's taste, but close half your cinema then. Only use half the screens and put on smaller movies. Because by closing cinemas down, all you're doing is essentially saying, if it's not a big blockbuster studio releasing a big blockbuster movie, then it's not worthy of our cinema being open. And I think that's the wrong fucking message to put out. The right message to put out is, you know, we'll only open the smaller screens, so we'll reduce our running costs, and we'll reduce our staff, but we will be putting out new movies, and you almost give the option for people to partake in the cinema experience rather than purely just show up to see the movie. So I think there's a balance somewhere in there that should be met before it's like, well, we'll just close the doors. Fuck it. You know what I mean? Cinema's dead for a year. So, I don't know. Well, it'll be interesting to see, because there's no guarantees next April it's good, you know, we're going to be any better off. So, like, by saying we'll close till Bond comes out next April is like, well, you know, you're doing exactly the same thing you've done twice this year already, which is putting your eggs in one basket, and you shouldn't do that. You should, at this stage, you should be actively thinking of an alternative solution rather than, well, it's either this or it doesn't work. So we will see, Mark Ball. You know what's really funny? Only one of these two movies would have properly played in a cinema that we're going to be discussing tonight, and the only reason it would have been played in cinemas is because someone decided, you know, that 3D thing that all the cool kids are doing, that Friday the 13th, that Amityville 3D movie, that Jaws 3D movie, we're going to back that. We're just going to jump on that freight train.
The kids love the 3D movies.
I think this is like realistically the second big push into horror 3D. The third one being the mid 2000s. But yeah, this is like one of these ones where they're like, 3D is the future. Without understanding that the reason William Castle did all his gimmicks short term is because these things are short term gimmicks. So yeah, I never thought I'd ever be talking on a show using the word 3D and Charles Band together. Turns out, if you wait long enough and you do enough podcasts, the gift will come to you. I mean, I have no preference in the order today. I usually let you know in advance, but I have zero preference at all. I do kind of feel like we should probably do Parasite first, just because I've joked about it. So are you ready, Mark, to take a short break for, you know, learned people from the Video Nasties documentary to give you a bit of background on the movie, for the trailer to play, and then for us to come back and discuss Charles Band directing Lemon Farmer Demi Moore in a movie which is 3D, where I didn't watch it in 3D, but I can see exactly where the 3D bits were.
Yeah, it's that old thing where you're getting a very different experience watching this at home, not in 3D, than the people that originally saw this in the theater in 3D. So yeah. There's a couple of pure amazing moments here where I almost wet myself laughing. And I imagine at the time people were loving it, but it's fucking horrific. We're going to discuss Parasite from, what was it, 1982? Yep, same year The Thing came out.
Oh dear. You're going to hear some folks chat, and you're going to hear the trailer. When we come back, we're discussing that movie right after this.
Parasite was one of a little blip of 3D movies that came out in the 80s, mostly, oddly enough, in 1983. We think of Jaws 3D, Amityville 3D. It started off with a spaghetti western called Coming At Ya, and I think Charles Band got in second, maybe with Parasite, maybe with Metal Storm, The Destruction of Jared Sin. But for a while, he was one of the few people in America who was taking 3D as a process seriously. He didn't stick with it, perhaps because video just took off as the medium that his kind of movies were going to. And even now, they can't really do 3D on using videotape as a medium to create. There were a few releases of older things like The Mask where they put some glasses in, but I've never met anybody who's made it work, who's actually had anything except a headache out of looking through the cardboard glasses at a VHS playing. So Parasite came out flat on video. It was sort of an Alien imitation, sort of a Mad Max imitation in its miserable near future in the late 1990s, and there's a scientist who's got a parasite which looks like, as Cynthia Rose memorably said, a Big Mac with teeth. There's some futuristic scumbags like the ones in Mad Max who do some bad things which require revenge being taken on them, and we have the very young Demi Moore in cut-off shorts and a belly shirt. All credit her. She's, over her career, has become occasionally a bit of a standing joke for a kind of tabloid lifestyle. She has always been a good actress. She has always had dignity, even in rubbish, and she's very good in Parasite. You can see that this is a movie which any producer watching would say, get me that girl, and lose the number of all those other guys. So as a stepping stone in her career, it's of interest. I think now it has, like a lot of those 80s futuristic visions, it's almost nostalgic, the kind of broken down America, although global warming and gas shortages and all these things that would never happen in real life. And I think that the once in a lifetime teaming of Robert Glaudini and Luca Bercovici, who I still get mixed up as antagonists, is quite interesting.
3D. The movie fantasy of yesterday is now the terrifying film experience of the future. For technical reasons, the preview you are about to see is not three-dimensional. Be assured, Parasite is the most gripping and frightening movie you will ever see. And in 3D, you will be part of the terror. You are about to witness the future. Be warned. It is a shocking sight. 3D, the ultimate sensation of visual art, now creates the newest, most terrifying form of fear, Parasite.
That thing on your stomach.
A new strain of parasite. When it reproduces, it will cast millions of microscopic spores into the air.
Just move your legs towards me real slow. Real slow.
Experience the living, breathing, terrifying vision of modern 3D. Parasite. You have only seen the preview. In 3D, you will live the film. Parasite. The first futuristic monster movie in 3D. Parasite.
And welcome back. So you have just heard the the trailer for Parasite from 1982. This is directed by Charles Band. Not for Empire though. Not a lot of people will be thinking, is this an Empire movie? No.
Embassy.
Embassy. Sorry, not Empire. This is before.
No, Empire was his later company, or was it Full Moon? I always get these fucking things.
No, he's confused. Had about three. He had Empire, I want to say, and then he transferred Empire to Full Moon. Although
that's right.
I think, no judgment on Charles Band at all, but he is a used car salesman. He really, really is. So,
absolutely,
it would not surprise me if one of them, went bust and then renamed. If you know what I mean. No, this is not my company. That's a completely different name. Parasite is, as listed on the IMDb's with a synopsis that goes, set in the year 1992, right? There's already issues there. 10 years after a limited nuclear war has destroyed most of the USA, scientist Paul Dean has developed a new form of leech-like parasite which can grow to large proportions every time it eats. Then, evil government agents storm the lab. He's forced to flee deep into a nearby desert and is pursued by a merchant, quote-unquote, which is a government agent intent on reclaiming the last of the two parasites Paul has. The first is in a silver container. The second is in Paul's abdomen. Paul seeks shelter at a small town. This is a fucking War and Peace one here. Thank you, Matthew Pate. That's his name. That's how he's listed it. The first, Paul seeks shelter in a small desert town populated by scavengers which threaten his work, while one local girl, Patricia Wells, forms an alliance with Paul to help him find a way to kill the parasite within him without killing himself, as well as find a way to kill the other one, which gets loose, of course it does, and will soon multiply into many thousands, unless killed soon. The movie stars Robert Gunaldi, Demi Moore in her, I believe this is her first movie role. I think she'd done TV before this.
Yep.
Luca Berchowski or whatever, James Davidson, Alfan, Tom Villard, Scott Thompson, Cherry Curry, Vivian Blaine, James Caven, and some other folks are in this one. Freddie Moore's in this as well. Which is nuts.
Guess who Luca Bercovici? That's the director of Ghoulies.
It is indeed, yeah. So he's already making weird kind of little. Like, there's a thing about Charles Band where you just feel like he's just like anyone involved with him is going to have a franchise. Like it's going to make a movie franchise, usually involving small puppets or something completely ripped off. Freddie Moore, who was Demi Moore's beau at the time, who were married, also a very famous rock star, has a small cameo in this movie, which is kind of interesting. This was 3D. Which you can tell by the poster, but it says 3D about 20 times. In fact, there's more 3Ds and it's in a bigger font than Parasite is. I had never seen this movie before. We joked about this on the last episode, where I was really genuinely hoping this was going to be a big old slab of horrible, cheesy sci-fi horror. And Mark, I was over the moon when this proved to be an over-the-top cheesy slab of sci-fi horror. This is like borderline horrible, right? But entertaining as fuck. The thing that we were talking about, like, gnarly, like, the 3D does, like, if you go back and watch Friday the 13th Part 3, the 3D one, and there are whole bits where, you know, like, someone holds a harpoon gun and waves it in front of the camera, and it's clearly there, you know, for that reason. Or we're going to do a yo-yo down at someone's head, and that's purely there for, we've got this technique we can use and the audience will get in on it. And it's always used as a gimmick, but never in a way to necessarily add value. It's the fairground ride thing here. And Parasite is exactly the same, although they have one of my... like, there's a guy that's impaled here and turns around and a fountain of blood. Mark. Comes a cascade out. Well, I say fountain of blood. Trickle of blood. Comes a cascade out. And I'm assuming that's a 3D effect. Has to be.
Yep.
Has to be. But here's my problem, and here's why I don't think the movie works, and at the same time why I think the movie works. Right, the oxymoronic Duncan approach to describing his viewing experience of Parasite. Parasite is a movie that has a central premise, which is we're going to rip off, like, post-apocalyptic Mad Max. We're going to rip off Alien. We're going to do kind of quasi-sci-fi stuff, but, you know, not really lean too much into any of the stuff that would elevate some of these movies. We're doing it from the pure trash level, right? So cynically, this is a tick box exercise in how to make a very quick sci-fi horror movie, right? Where I think it surprisingly works is that it knows fully what it is and doesn't try to be any more than that. The acting across the board is not great. Demi Moore is not great in this.
No.
She has went on record to say that this is her least favourite movie. And I'm like, I mean, come on. She did G.I. Jane, and that is not a good movie. Right, let me just say.
Striptease, come on.
Yeah, I mean, you've been in some dodgy fucking movies, Demi. Stop picking on... Leave Charles Band alone.
Yeah, this was her start. She shouldn't be down on this one. She may not have had a fucking career if it wasn't for, like,
I mean, everyone starts somewhere, and she's actually alright in this one, although her role baffles me. This movie has like about 90% more lemons in shots and references to lemons that for a plot that for an object that doesn't, like, see if this movie was the parasites could be killed by citric acid, then yes, the many lemons about the place and the introduction of a lemon farmer makes sense. But look at her. Like, have you ever met a lemon farmer, Mark?
This movie was probably funded by one, like the fucking lemon farms of Ohio or wherever the hell this was shot. Like that would be my guess.
The script was written over a tall glass of lemonade, Mark. But there's a lot, but it doesn't have great special effects, but not the worst that I've seen.
It's Stan Winston, early Stan Winston.
I mean, and some of it like works okay. Some of it looks pretty bad, but I imagine under the lens of a 3D scope maybe looked a bit better. But yeah. I mean, this movie is under an hour and a half long. It never feels like it meanders at all. It is got silly kind of plot heaviness in parts where we're trying to, you know, almost like expedite the plot in a way which I'm like, just stick to what we want to see. And it gets gnarly in bits where I actually thought it delivered quite a lot of enjoyment. And that's where I come down on. This is like, it is difficult to sit with a critical eye and really critique a Charles Band movie. And what's, you know, because this is a guy who is purely for thrills and spills. That is what he's doing. He has his, we're talking about niche markets earlier on, like Shudder. He has his niche market, which is the straight to VHS. Back in the day anyway, straight to VHS. I'm going to do the Corman, here's the poster, you know you want to see it, and there is nothing remarkable about the movie, and it never really truly lives up to the poster. And there's an art to that, there's an exploitative art to that band cornered the market on in the 80s and fucking ruled the roost and got to help people like Stuart Gordon put out some stuff, and like we were mentioning earlier on when it comes to Look Up, get him to do his stuff. This is also a guy that, like, 2 years before this made Tourist Trap, which I will still contend is Charles Band's best movie. Tourist Trap's fucking rad. So, I mean, it's not great, but it's not the colossal shit show that I thought it was going to be. It is just, I've seen this movie done a million times before, and oh yes, this is the Charles Band version of it. What did you make of it?
I agree. This is a terrible fucking movie. Like it's bad, like really bad. But not like the most, like definitely not the worst that we've watched for this show for sure. It's like it's got some redeeming values. It's got some fun characters. Like I think Demi Moore is almost a cool character. Like I think they were trying really hard to make her. She's like the take no shit like lemon farmer, I guess. I don't know. I think they were trying to do something there that didn't quite work out. I think our protagonist in this, the escaped scientist doctor guy, is one of the worst protagonists in a movie I've seen in a long time. He's like, for a minute I thought it was young Lance Henriksen, but then I'm like, nah, this guy's uglier than Lance Henriksen somehow. And he's a terrible fucking actor. He reads all of his dialogue like he's on Quaaludes. He just like slops his way through this fucking movie and is like a horrendous fucking protagonist. Really, like our characters that like we're enjoying watching is like I said, to a degree Demi Moore, but really it's the fucking weirdo. I can't call them a motorcycle gang because they didn't have the budget for a motorcycle apparently, but like just the gang in this town that like roughs people up and eventually lets the titular parasite loose and gets attacked by them. Those guys are like really the more fun part of this movie, I think, because they're awful and reprehensible and like are just like this movie starts off with like what we think is a rape scene, and our protagonist rescues the chick only to find out that like she's with those dudes. They were just I don't know, it was like a weird kinky sex thing, I guess, but major Laser Blast vibes in this movie. This reminded me a lot of Laser Blast, especially with the tracker, or whatever the fuck they call him. This is yet another the alien bounty hunter. Well, he's not an alien, he's like a he's more of a Men in Black type of dude with his lame fucking ballpoint pen that shoots lasers. That, I mean, to be honest, is kind of cool because he cuts off a few hands with it. But what a fucking ludicrous, stupid fucking. It again reminds me of the giant arm cannon from Laser Blast. It's just like a super cheap prop that they threw together in 5 seconds and put zero thought into, kind of. I think the creature effects in this are pretty alright. Like I said, it's a really Stan Winston. Like he's working with not very much. He probably like got paid in beer and potato chips to whip this thing up on a fucking weekend, and it doesn't look terrible. And like you said, I bet it looked, especially that opening shot where the parasite like busts out of a dude's fucking skull and it's like a heavy metal album cover. I bet that looked pretty cool in 3D, and was also, again, you got a lot of these Video Nasty movies, you get banned in the first 5 minutes, and this one has an exploding skull and some psychedelic, maybe vaguely satanic kind of looking imagery in the beginning of it. Within the first 5 minutes, like the cold open is that basically. So but yeah, this movie was not good. I would probably never watch this again. But I didn't absolutely hate it. I thought some of the music was kind of fun. Charles Band always has, especially I didn't see Richard Band's.
Yeah, it's Richard Band that did it on this. So
they did the composing.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's usually a safe bet when it comes to it.
Yeah, he's a fantastic composer, even when he's like super duper ripping other stuff off. Looking at you, Reanimator. But anyway,
I don't know what you mean, Mark.
Yeah, but I have no idea what you're talking about. But yeah, this is a bad movie. If you're looking for just a fucking schlock sandwich, this is a pretty safe bet. But if you're looking for something that's like even remotely deep, or like, I don't know, just this whole thing is just like a fucking huge rehash of things that you've seen in other movies done way better. So especially without the 3D gimmick, this is I don't know, I kind of think you could skip this one.
This is not one that would actively suggest that you search out at all. And interestingly enough, I think you're right. With the right group of friends, a good kind of case of beer in front of you, and we're going to chat, but every now and again look at the screen and laugh at how bad something is, or like just take in the nonsense. This is the perfect sort of movie for that. But out with that, I mean, it's like the old adage says, Mark, when life gives you lemons, don't make a Parasite movie. So surely
I did like this movie. It's weird, like I really like the weirdest fucking things in movies sometimes. But kind of what I like the shop owner in this movie, or the guy that runs like the it's like a soup kitchen, because all they have is canned soup because it's post-apocalyptic. He just runs like the little trading station in this town, even though he doesn't get a lot of, I think most of his customers get beat up and killed and robbed by the fucking gang or whatever. But yeah, he's just this old black dude that fucking has a shotgun under the counter and a big scar on his face that sells canned soup and canned beer and canned water or something else. And I don't know, for some reason I kind of like that idea. It's I'm always interested in when you take like kind of like Wild West ideas and put them in a post-apocalyptic setting to kind of make it seem more like a Western than like a futuristic sci-fi movie kind of. I love that kind of shit. I don't know why. I also laughed at the old lady that runs the hotel, which again, she doesn't get very many customers, probably because the gang just beats up and kills everybody that comes through town. But her, I don't know who that actress is. I didn't bother looking that up, but who she reminded me of, I don't know if you're a Seinfeld guy, Duncan, but the episode where Kramer goes to Hollywood and he stays in the hotel and meets the old lady that's like, I used to be a big deal actress in this town, and then I got old and now I'm a nobody. That's that lady that runs the hotel. She probably used to be somebody humongous and then spent all of her acting money on booze and left Hollywood and kind of, became nobody. Then Charles Band is like, recognizes her from old movies, does the Rob Zombie thing. Hey, you want to come make a paycheck? Come be in my movie, which, I can respect that, given older actors, at least somewhat steady work. So, yeah, I think that's about all I have to say about this one. I just knocked something over there. So,
this is all I have to say about this movie, Duncan. And I'll say no more about it. Don't make me wreck my house. God damn you.
My recording studio doubles as like my shooting studio for stop motion stuff, so I just knocked over a fucking whole styrofoam diorama. But
probably more effort and work went into that styrofoam diorama than the whole of the movie Parasite. I mean, ultimately, I think we're both kind of on the same page here. For listeners that are checking out the show for the first time, why? Go back and listen to the beginning. But yeah, we do our own kind of unique style of grading over here, where we basically have fun with it, and we have different grading tiers. The maximum one, as in this, is violent AF, and had we been a censor at the time, by God, this would have been burned at the stake. Is some hard time for those movies that are starting to head that way, but maybe they're dangerous, they're risky. They get a bit of community service. For those that are maybe kind of flirting with it, but maybe not grossly offensive, but there's a couple of mean streaks in them, they do a little bit of community service. And for those movies that are so bland, so tame, and maybe show a boob or two, those are case dismissed. Where are you coming in with Parasite?
This is a real light slap on the wrist. the violence is like pretty goopy and gory, but it's never really like it's very sci-fi and is not really like very mean-spirited, and there's like a boob or two, and it had me thinking that it was going to start with a rape scene, but that's not actually what it was. So yeah, this one's pretty safe. I don't know, I think they came down on this because of the box art.
It wouldn't surprise me at all. Would not surprise me if that was the case. Yeah, I'm coming in with you. I mean, I was kind of flirting with the idea of a case dismissed, but there are a couple of gnarlier bits in it with the effects. There's a good degree of violence in there, which, I mean, it's not handled particularly well, but I imagine of the time it was still pretty jarring. So yeah, I'll probably do the same. Slap on the wrist for this movie. Right, we're going to take a break. When we come back, after more learned words from educated people about our next movie and the trailer, we will be discussing The Erotic Rites of Frankenstein by a little bit of Jesús Franco. Yeah, my buddy Jess finally making season 2. Yeah, we're going to be discussing that movie from 1973, coming right up right after this.
Okay, well, we have Jesús Franco here with The Erotic Rites of Frankenstein, which has been released under many different titles over the years. Les Expériences Erotiques de Frankenstein, or La Malédiction de Frankenstein, which translated from the Spanish means Curse of Frankenstein. Apparently it also made it onto film as Curse of Frankenstein in English at some point. I rather wish that they'd gone with Erotic Rites of Frankenstein across the board, because although now that's quite an obscure title for the film, given that it only came out on UK video back in the day as that, I missed that one. I think The Erotic Rites of Frankenstein is a great title. It's a much more exploitable title and kind of fits it better, I think. It's one of the best Jesús Franco movies. Given that quite a few of the really bad Franco films came out on video in this country, it's a relief to be able to say that this is one worth seeking out. It's from 1972, originally under a shooting title Les Plaisirs de la Nuit, Pleasures of the Night. It's a beautiful widescreen scope compositions, a rampage basically through horror iconography. To get a handle on this, you need to go back a little bit and think about the fact that Franco made Count Dracula, a version of the Dracula story, in 1970, 2 years before, with Christopher Lee, allegedly, and then the idea of this film was to try and tell the original Bram Stoker story. Well, they didn't pull that off, and Franco took a beating in the press because the hype for Count Dracula was that it was going to be the first truly accurate rendition of the book. Well, it wasn't. No one was particularly satisfied with Count Dracula. I think Franco in particular seems to have needed to exorcise this bad experience by returning to the subject of Dracula and the Gothic horror tradition in a very different mindset. Count Dracula is very stuffy and staid and almost trying to be a Hammer film. This film and its twin, Dracula Prisoner of Frankenstein, are delirious, no holds barred, all bets are off, the rules are out the window, sort of Gothic fantasy. You've got characters floating in from the Dracula story and the Frankenstein story, but they're not acting in the way they're meant to, and there's no attempt to crowbar them into a sensible storyline. This is like far more inspired by the fumetti Italian comics and by the bande dessinée Franco-Belgian comic strips that Franco was very, very keen on. And also it introduces this element of eroticism, which is a million miles away from anything that you would have got in the Hammer films, even though Hammer, people associate Hammer with cleavage. They're not really sexy films, are they? And sex isn't really something that the Hammer studio really seemed very comfortable with. There's a great scene, for instance, where Cagliostro, this mesmerist and magician, who now controls Frankenstein's monster with thought energy, great idea in itself, orders the monster to whip a servant, and Vera Frankenstein, Dr. Frankenstein's daughter, are tied up within a circle of knives. The idea being that when one of them can not stand the whipping any longer, they will have the choice of whether to pitch forward onto the knives themselves. It's a film that gives one of Franco's leading men, I think possibly his best role, and that's Howard Vernon. Now, Howard Vernon was the original Dr. Orloff in The Awful Dr. Orloff, which is possibly his best known role. Certainly it was the role that a lot of people have in mind when they think of his work with Franco. I think this is possibly better, and it really, a lot of the power of the film revolves around the way the camera sort of soaks up Howard Vernon's charisma and really draws out of him this incredible energy. There are some close-up shots of him where he's playing, as I say, a mesmeric magician, where you genuinely believe that he really could send waves of thought energy into other people's minds. It's a very powerful performance. It also features one of the greatest incidental characters in a Franco film, Melissa the Bird Woman, who is played by this wonderful actress called Anne Libert, a fascinating-looking woman. She's like something out of a surrealist painting or something. She's so wonderful. And the actress Anne Libert, who plays her, has got this kind of strange opiated quality where she just kind of feels as if she's just come from an orgy. She just looks sort of depraved and debauched and yet incredibly glamorous. So it's great casting, really interesting faces in front of the camera. And it's got a Frankenstein monster sprayed silver. I mean, you know, it's just a visual treat. I find it hard, given how delirious and strange the film is, to believe that anybody wanted to put it on try and get it on the Video Nasties list purely on the basis of the film itself. It's such an alienating film for most people. I would have thought that they would have never got through it. So I suspect it's probably the cover art of bound, semi-nude women, and that's probably all it took. Just, you know, okay, we've got women tied up in chains. That's bound to be sleazy, nasty and horrible and something that we should stop. And I think that's probably as far as it went. I'd be amazed if any representative of law and order ever made it through this movie to the end. I really would.
Le château de Barna. La mort habite ses caveaux. Mais une vie nouvelle y sera engendrée par la créature de Cagliostro et le monstre de Frankenstein.
Imaginez que tu pourrais me tromper.
Tes ondes magnétiques m'ont sauvé à temps, maître.
Avec l'aide de sa propre fille, le docteur Frankenstein revient parmi les vivants.
Sais-tu ce qui va se passer maintenant?
Horreur incomparable. Le mal sévit dans l'enceinte du château de Barna. Seule la science triomphera. Un film terrible et envoûtant, dont les personnages fascinent et terrifient. Quel est le secret du château de Barna? Et qui sont ces créatures qui l'abritent? Un film que vous devez voir. La malédiction de Frankenstein.
And welcome back, ladies and gents. So, yes, it is with great privilege and pride that I welcome Jesús Franco to the old Nasties list again, my old friend. Welcome back. It has been so long since I saw you. We're doing the Erotic Rites of Frankenstein from 1973. This is written and directed by Jesús Franco. The movie itself Oh dear. Alberto Dalbellas, Dennis Price, Howard Vernon, Beatrice Savon, Anne Libert, Fernando Bilbo, Carmen Yalede, oh dear, Louis Barbu.
Duncan's having a stroke.
What's going on here? Let's skip all these people. And let's jump straight to that synopsis, which is Dr. Frankenstein and his assistant Morpho are killed. That's right, we're going to get to that in a second. Just as they bring their new creation to life, which is right at the beginning. The monster is taken by Calistro, and he now controls the monster and plans to have it mate and create the perfect master race. That's kind of what happens in this movie. Kinda. Right, so I suppose it's worth saying there are two versions of this movie out there. So, I don't know, I watched the one on Prime, which didn't appear to be the one that I wanted. So I then took to the internet and found the version I wanted, which is the one with all the smut. And I was much happier.
Oh, weird. I didn't know there was multiple versions of this.
Did you see the one with a lot of vagina? Because if you didn't, you've...
Well, I mean, it was a lot of merkins, but yeah.
Yeah, well, yes, you saw the right one.
And it's got some dong in it.
Yep, that's the right one then. So he did essentially two versions of this movie. One for its original kind of French run. So, you know, I believe the movie may have been partly French financed. So its original debut, its premiere, was in France and contained a ton of nudity.
It's full of the nudes.
Yeah, but then there was an international market that came a-calling, Mark. And when that international market comes a-calling, you need to tone it back. So he did some reshoots and they strip out almost all the nudity. And there's that version of it, which has...
That's lame.
Yeah, which has a lot more dialogue and a lot less tits, which, you know, upsets me. You know, I like the female form. Occasionally, if a dong flashes on the screen, I'll be like, you know, it was chilly in that studio, or by God, that man sung. You know, it's one of the two. I'm just saying, I make comments. Sometimes they're inappropriate and leery. But yeah, so this is, like I said at the beginning, I feel like I have to sometimes go on the apology tour when it comes to Jesús Franco. I find him a wonderfully fascinating director, like really, really, really interesting in that there's a guy here who is almost the reverse Craven. Like, Wes Craven starts off by doing, before he even starts doing things like Last House on the Left, he essentially shoots porn. Like, he's involved in that, you know, not the hardcore shit, but that's his kind of, that was how he kind of got into doing films. And then would find exploitation and then find the mainstream. And like Jesús Franco starts from a purely exploitation background and then finds that the titillation's the more interesting stuff. So basically just goes off and does porn and softcore porn. And we're catching him here while he's still doing his kind of exploitation horror stuff. And his like sheer volume of movies are eye-watering. This is a guy who would double up when making movies, constantly double up, sometimes triple up. He would get financing for one movie, would deliberately undercut the spend on that movie to finance 2 or 3 movies after it.
Economy.
Yeah, constantly. This is a guy who, I don't know what the long-term plan was, because he's a guy who is vocally active in condemning his movie output. He's a guy who, like, really doesn't like to talk that much about the movies he made, because he kind of, I don't know if it's shame or whatever, but this is a guy who clearly loved making movies because he made so many of them. And right. if legend is to be believed, during the shooting of this, he was simultaneously shooting another movie. So, using the same location, which once again is the least surprising fact you should ever have in a movie like The Erotic Rites of Frankenstein. This is another one which, for all intents and purposes, I'm kind of conflicted about, because there's a lot in this movie that I think is primo Jesús Franco, and if you're familiar with his stuff, then it's, you know, all the kind of, on some level, quite artistic yet sleazy Euro-sexploitation stuff is definitely in here to show. There's a ton of needless nudity because Franco just wanted naked people on the screen, and I get that, and the more you watch all these movies, the more you're going to see that. But there are like flashes of greatness in this movie, specifically in the cinematography, which I think is fucking brilliant. Set locations, great. Weird, like weird details. Like I will be honest, I don't think I've ever seen a kind of monochrome Frankenstein. I don't know where the choice was to basically spray paint him silver. You know what I mean? That's like there is a weirdness in that, and I don't know, like, you're fucked if you make him green. You can't make him green because Universal sued everyone that even remotely tried. That's why when Hammer did Frankenstein, Christopher Lee it looks like the Incredible Melting Man. You know, he's like bits falling off him and all the rest, and he's gnarly fucking.
He's all stitched up. Yeah, looks like a zombie kind of.
Yeah, like he's like. There's a reason behind that, because if you remotely make him green and have bolts in his neck and staples in his head, like Universal has come in with their very, very diligent team of lawyers, and by the time they're left, the only thing you've got left to wear is a cock sock, because they're taking everything fucking else from you, and it's weird, so they make, but there are certain choices in the way the Frankenstein looks like, where I was like, if you just paint him green, he's not that far removed. Like, he's not that far removed from Karloff. But this is a movie that almost abandons really fucking quickly the idea of Frankenstein as a movie. It's like we walk in with him being created, and then we very quickly kill off the conflict of, have I created life? What have I done? He's alive!
This is barely a Frankenstein movie.
Yeah, they get rid of it really fucking fast in favour of some talon hand-wielding, semi-clothed, rather attractive bird chick. Who, it's the only way I can describe her, to be honest with you. Who, essentially captures him, and then we're going on a journey to Calistro, played by the late great Howard Vernon, who would then lead into I've never understood. This is the thing that's always confused me about. Right, I want to create life from death, but then I want to then have that life create life. It's always been one of those plot points in the Frankenstein movies where I'm like that. Well, I've created life. Oh, he's sad. I'll make him a mate. As if, it's almost as if they don't understand that most relationships end in divorce, Mark. It's a very, very weird thing, and they kind of move it in the kind of sexy realm in this movie here, where they're trying to push it. And then there's just a whole lot of weirdness. Like I say, the cinematography is kind of fucking awesome, and a lot of the set designs I really enjoy. But the way the movie's cut together at times, as like Franco sometimes cut his movies together so quick, because like I say, he's usually making about 3 at a time, that not all the edits feel clean, and there are a few edits in this movie that really feel quite jarring, and a couple of shots that I feel are almost superfluous to what they're doing. That a scene runs a bit longer than it maybe should. There's a gap with silence where maybe there shouldn't be. So it kind of feels like he's constructed it all really fast together. And then at the end of it, I finished watching it, and maybe my biggest issue, although I'll be honest with you, I actually really enjoyed The Erotic Rites of Frankenstein for all the reasons I've listed out. My big issue at the end of it was, I am not sure what this movie is actually doing. You know what I mean? I come to the end of it, and I don't feel like there's an actual story here that is like an A to B to C to end. It kind of feels like a half a A, a lot of B, then maybe like an end, and the C bit's missing. Like the C part of the movie is kind of gone in the script, and it finishes, and I've seen a lot of cool things, and I've seen some things that I never thought I would see before. I've seen quite a deal of nudity, but at the end of it, I'm kind of like, what was the plan again? Like, why did we kidnap him again? Why are we doing this? And that's not always an issue with Franco movies. I sometimes think that Franco's really good at maybe like stretching out what feels like like a half a beer mat worth of story he can stretch out in a movie, and this kind of feels like there's a really long story here that just doesn't have an ending, so he shot it anyway. So yeah, I don't know, I'm conflicted about this one because I think this is a visually very interesting movie, and I love some of the designs they do, and it is the epitome of a Jesús Franco movie. Like I say, the more you watch of them, the more you start to get those little telltale signs that you're watching a Franco movie. But the end of it, I kind of felt plot-wise, and this is, I mean, some people will be slapping their foreheads right now and rolling their eyes that I'm about to say this, but plot-wise, this is a kind of sketchy one for me. And I don't think there is necessarily a real story in this movie. And I think even throwing Frankenstein in here, we could strip Frankenstein off the title and there would be comparisons to Frankenstein, but we could strip it off here and just have it as an experiment gone, bad, and someone stealing it to take it elsewhere, rather than necessarily even going down the roads that we are here with Frankenstein. I'm going to ask you, before we get into this, because this is a conversation we've never had before, and me and Andy had way back in the day, how familiar are you with Jesús Franco?
Not very.
Right.
In fact, I don't know if I've ever seen one of his movies before this.
Alright. So with maybe the knowledge of the name and not necessarily of the content, how did you get on with the Erotic Rites of Frankenstein?
So I watched this twice. Most of the way through.
I bet you did.
I started this last night, and well, I don't know if I should be saying this, but the world's coming to a fucking end anyway. Mm-hmm. So when I started this last night, I was a little bit under the influence of some of the strong stuff, let's say, and. That's maybe the ideal way to watch this movie, because this is an hour and 13 minutes of like mostly fucking nonsense from what I can gather. Like this movie made no fucking sense to me the first go through it. I don't think it was because I was watching it through goggles of sorts, shall we say. So yeah, I got about 45 minutes into this last night and was just like, I don't know what the fuck is going on. This is the weirdest goddamn movie I've ever seen. This is fucking naked blind bird woman. Again, for the kids in the back of the class, naked blind bird woman is one of the main characters in this, and she just has like these long fucking soliloquies to not Manos, who's kind of our lead in this. I forget who the actor you said was
Howard Vernon plays a
Howard Vernon,
Calistro.
He looks like a cross between Quentin Tarantino and Oliver Reed with a bad goatee. And his character is basically Manos, and he's got all these like naked sluts around the castle and like a fucking squad of like people that look like they were at the Mask of the Red Death party. Down in the basement, that's like his cult. Basically, he's building like an army of the dead.
Yeah, the design of the army of the dead is one of the most confusing things ever, because I don't think at any point it's really specified whether or not they're in costume or this is how they look. Like, I didn't know if these were worshippers or he'd actually created these people, and if he's created these people, this army of the dead, then why the fuck does he need to steal Frankenstein's monster?
Yeah, and like I laughed because one of his squad is it's literally a doctor's office skeleton in like a bed sheet, and they're passing that off as a character. I had to fucking laugh. I was like, oh, this is like fucking William Castle level shit. But yeah, this is a weird hot mess of a movie that I still don't know if I completely understand like what the fuck is going on through a lot of this. I feel bad for anybody that gets tricked into watching the version of this that doesn't have the nudity in it, because like all of the best parts of this I feel like have nudity in them, especially the giant whipping scene. Like, man, that was like some of the weirdest, kinkiest shit I'd seen in one of these movies in a while. You got silver fucking like he's eastbound and down been huffing fucking silver paint. That was what I was thinking. Frankenstein. Like whipping two people like tied to each other back to back that are like a man and a woman, both butt ass naked. That's where we get some dong in this movie. and it was probably cold on that set. And they're standing in like the center of like a room where the floor is all knives, and they're just getting whipped. And like the effects is like the whipping effect is actually pretty good, because there's a couple shots in there where I think what they did is they just like soaked the whip in like fake blood and like kind of gently hit them with it so that it actually looks like it makes a big lash on their sides. That was actually like kind of a neat little trick that they did.
I'll give you a laugh here. There is an ongoing rumor, right? Like the more of the Franco movies you watch, the more you realize that he does like people getting whipped in his movies. A man that enjoys the sound of leather and skin.
Well, yeah.
And he adamantly defends his position as not being into any sort of kinky sadomasochistic sex, and yet the evidence, it'd be like Quentin Tarantino saying I don't like feet. You know what I mean? There are hours and hours and hours of footage that kind of hint the other way. But yeah, you could have fucking, I think the whole neighbourhood heard me roll out laughing loud when the whipping scene started, because I was like, oh, of course, here is fucking, of course it was inevitable, like the sun rising in the morning, Mark. Here is the fucking whipping scene. He's a guy who, like, I don't know why he steers so far away from it. I'd steer into it. You know what I mean? Yeah, like a bit of kinky sex. Look at my films. That's the least concerning thing in this movie.
It's the most interesting parts of this movie. That was when I looked up last night, my fucking pupils like the size of quarters, and looked at the screen, and this was what was going on, and I'm like, nope, can't fucking hang. I'm gonna have to get up early and start this in the morning, because this is way too much to fucking handle right now. And those are the most interesting parts of this. And the fucking bird woman. And,
I don't know what the fuck is going on with that.
Oh, she eats flesh also. I don't know if I mentioned that part. There's a scene where she like fucking eats a guy, and the sound design is so annoying. It's like literally just a person making bird noises into a microphone with a little bit of like reverb on it. It is cringy and ridiculous, and just I was fucking like, I got up early this morning to watch this movie, and man, it was like a fucking a hot cup of coffee with fucking some mescaline in it or something. I was so fucking, this is like, I don't know what this movie is. This is just like a weird little experiment. It's like barely a movie. I don't know how to fucking describe it, but like I don't know. I kind of came into this being wanting to be like, I fucking hated this movie, but like hearing you talk about Franco a little bit, and like the more I think about it, I'm like, I gotta see some more of this dude's movies. He was just, by the way, gonzo shit I came for.
Double checked, is Devil Hunter and not Demon Hunter. So I knew there was like, when I said Demon Hunter, I was like, Devil Hunter's his other one. But like that made the nasty list, and he's done other cannibal movies as well. But he was a guy who basically just did whatever the fuck he wanted. And he's some, like, the weird thing about it is he has some really interesting work. A guy who, you know, I'm just checking through his movies, for example. He made, are you ready for that? Fucking hell. We were director, 207 credits.
Jesus.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 movies in 1981.
Yeah, that's like average 10 a year over 20 years, roughly.
The year that this movie came out, he made 12 movies in that year.
Fucking hell. Yeah, you'd have to be shooting them simultaneously. You can't, like, especially back in the day when you weren't shooting digital, you can't get a movie done in a month. Like, not from script to in fucking theaters. You can't. That's mind blowing. So, like, I mean, I would definitely recommend, if you're checking them out, The Demons, which was out the same year actually, which is a kind of weird, almost like The Devils. Yeah, in fact, it's about the same time, so it wouldn't surprise me if it fucking ripped that off. But yeah, that's definitely one. Daughter of Dracula is really, really, really good as well. I have a soft spot for Night of the Skull. It's not a great movie, but I do
I do have a little soft spot. And then if you're wanting to, like, I mean, he's got a litany of movies which made the nasty list, including things like Women Behind Bars, which is as sleazy as you think that's going to be.
Yep, that sounds sleazy.
Yeah, it's horrifically sleazy. But yeah, then you're moving into his cannibal stuff as well. And yeah, I mean, he's an interesting filmmaker. He made a ton of fucking shit, like movies which are barely movies, but there's no way I will ever be able to watch them all. But there's always like one or two things I walk away from being like that. You know, that's interesting at least. Or I really like the way he's composed this, you know, particular shot. Or there's always like one little thing where I think if he just focused and had a good budget and been less sleazy, I think he probably had it in him to make a like one-off incredible masterpiece of a movie, but he just never could hold it. But there's also a part of me that feels like he never wanted to make that anyway. So he's kind of staying true to himself, which, to be honest,
this was like his comfort zone, was like the low budget type of stuff that he could crank out real quick, not put a whole lot of effort into or work into, and just move on to the next
stuff.
Yeah,
pretty much. I think his films financed his films. I don't think he ever really got rich off it, if you know what I mean. So there isn't not like a Ponzi scheme or anything like that where he's scoring serious bank by defrauding investors. Like I said before, he would undercut movies to make more movies, to basically finance more movies. So he wasn't doing anything like necessarily to push him on, which I think in a lot of respects kind of makes me respect him even more. So, and I probably shouldn't. So there we go. I mean, is there anything else you want to say about this movie before we wrap it up?
It was super, super fucking weird. I posted in the group that you could rent this thing from Kino Lorber for $1.99. There's Blu-rays of both of these movies we talked about out from Kino. The Parasite one just came out last year, and I guess it is in actual 3D. But they have one of Rites of Frankenstein. It's also called. I guess this one's also on Shudder. The version I watched is on YouTube, and yeah, it's the one that's got the dong and plenty of badly covered vaginas in this movie, and weird. I don't know if I could recommend this to people, but it's definitely. I mean, I'm into weirdo shit and sleaze and stuff that's just like will make you fucking scratch your head. Like, how does this exist? Kind of. So. I kind of want to check out some more Franco stuff.
Nice. Well, you know where we're going with this. We now have to give this this is going to be the fun part.
Oh boy.
Yeah, we have to give this one a grade. So let's swing it to you again, Mark. You know what our grades are. What is the Erotic Rites of Frankenstein getting from you?
I mean, I think I kind of got to give this some community service because it is sort of like a softcore porn film. I mean, there's not really any like fucking in it, but there's a lot of naked people in it, and there's not really. I don't really remember any violence in this that was like super bad or anything. I know like Frankenstein kind of fucks some dudes up at the end of this, but it's not particularly bloody. I don't remember. There's like a beheading in this that was. That was this movie, right?
Yeah.
Where the chick gets her head cut off. That was actually kind of one of the other cooler effects because they like did it like where, like it's not a fake head, it's the actual actress, and they just framed it so that like they make it look like they pick up her severed head with her hair and like she opens her eyes. Kind of that was actually kind of a cool, like simple trick that they did with that one. But that's about all I remember as far as violence goes in this one. So. Yeah, a little bit of community service just because this is like semi-pornographic. So other than that, I mean, there's not. Yeah, this is coming from an American where like we have way different standards as far as like sex and nudity in movies go than Europe obviously does. So skip the fucking don't watch the version of this that doesn't have the nudity in it because all the good parts will be gone.
Well said. I'm with you on this one as well. It's community service, mostly because of I always try and pivot it through what the censors would have been like at the time, and just knowing what British censors are like with the sheer volume of nudity. in the movie. And this is just the sort of shit they just couldn't handle. Anything to do with anything that portrayed violence and sex on screen. I mean, we're alright with just boobs being out and like slapstick comedies or whatnot. If you watch any of the Carry On movies from like the 70s and 80s, there's a lot of kind of, there's tits everywhere in those movies.
It's boobery.
And a lot of jokes about tits. But as soon as you put violence in that with it, it just won't fly and it's banned. So, I mean, that's
a good point.
So that to me probably what raises it up. Out with that lens, it's probably on my level, it's tame. But I think it sits somewhere between the old community service and the slap on the wrist. But for the confines of this show through the lens, I'll probably lean to very light community service sentence. So there we go. That is our good work done here. Ladies and gents, we're going to take our final break of this episode. After promos for shows that we love, you're going to hear us tell you what's coming up on episode number 10 of season 2 Doing the Nasty, which will be dropping also this month, not this week. We don't have that in us. And Mark will be happy because he owns at least one of these movies, so
sweet.
That will make him happy. And the other one, if you've not seen before, I'm really interested to see what you make of it. So yeah, we're going to be discussing that right after this.
This is a test of the emergency podcasting system. Listen to the Psychosemantic Podcast. Politics, movies, and political movies. Find us on Facebook, iTunes, Stitcher, legionpodcasts.com. The Psychosemantic Podcast.
And welcome back, ladies and gents. You've been listening to a little bit of Doing the Nasty. This has been season 2, episode number 9. In this, we were discussing Parasite from 1983 and the Erotic Rites of Frankenstein from 1973. So, where are we going in a couple of weeks' time? Well, we are once again leaning back into an old comfortable blanket, which is the late great Italian sleazemeister that is Umberto Lenzi.
Oh boy.
Yeah, I know. We're finally getting to some motherfucking cannibals, which makes me happy. We're doing this, weirdly enough, is not the movie that made the Nasty List, but the movie that he made right after, which is basically, for all intents and purposes, the same fucking movie. We're going to be doing Eaten Alive from 1980. So the reason I kind of say the year after this, he does Ferox, and Cannibal Ferox uses pretty much the same score and a lot of the same locations and a lot of the similar sort of parts, but just makes it a bit more refined, has a bit more of a budget, and is a bit more ripping off Cannibal Holocaust. Which is always the funny fact about Umberto Lenzi is, look, he ripped off Cannibal Holocaust when he made Cannibal Ferox. Yet, the year that came out, he did Eaten Alive, which is obviously here. He also did the first Italian cannibal movie, like almost a decade before, so cut the guy some fucking slack. However, this movie is not a good movie. So, it's not good. It's kind of bad. But I'm looking forward to getting to it because is this our first cannibal movie?
I do believe so. I mean, we've had movies with people being eaten and shit, but this is probably our first full-blown jungle fucking Holocaust cannibal movie.
Nice! So yeah, Eaten Alive is the first one. The second one came out a whole 7 years before, and is Pigs, aka Daddy's Dead Darling. Now, you got this recently, didn't you?
Yep, I got the Vinegar Syndrome one, which has a fucking sweet cover, but I'm sure it's probably not going to live up to that cover.
Right, so the synopsis for both these movies: Eaten Alive, a young woman teams up with a mercenary to find her missing sister in the jungles of New Guinea, where they find that their deranged leader of a religious cult has located his commune in an area inhabited by cannibals. So that's Eaten Alive. The Pig synopsis: Lynn Hart is a disturbed young woman who escapes from a mental hospital where she was committed for killing her abusive father who raped her. Already thinking this movie feels like primo nasty. Stealing a nun's we're getting the whole synopsis here.
It's got nuns, sweet.
Stealing nurses, not nuns. Nurses' uniform
okay.
and
I'll take it. It's not as good as nuns, but close.
A uniform and car. Lynn ends up in a small Californian town where she meets and shacks up with Zambrini, an old farmer who runs a local motel and roadside cafe. Zambrini owns a group of pigs that he keeps in a pen behind the house who've somehow developed a taste for human flesh.
How did that happen? I have no idea.
It was an accident, Your Honour. When Lynn begins killing a number of men who remind her of her dead father, Zambrini helps her by disposing the bodies to the pigs. Investigating the disappearances, a local sheriff becomes suspicious of Lynn's past, and a private investigator hired by the hospital to find her slowly close in on Lynn. This sounds fun as fuck. So I am looking forward to both these movies. Eaten Alive I have seen many moons ago, but looking forward to getting back into it. Pigs I have never seen and hadn't heard of until you seemed excited about it, and this is the bit I'm most happy about. Eaten Alive, 1 hour 30 minutes long. Pigs, 1 hour 20 minutes long.
Oh, thank God.
Dear God Almighty, there's a time and a place in my heart for a movie that runs under an hour and a half. Just saying. So yeah, that's what we'll be doing end of the month. Dude, we have a couple of cracking episodes coming right after that. If you want to know, let me tell you what we have coming for you, dear sweet listeners, because the biggest thing is our December episode is going to be the tits. But we're going to be doing The Demons, aka Les Demons, and Prom Night in our November episode. And yeah, this is where it gets exciting for me. Our December episode will be covering Rosemary's Killer, aka The Prowler, and Profondo Rosso, aka Deep Red.
Oh, nice. It's been a while since I've seen that one.
Yeah, so a bit of Deep Red and a little bit of The Prowler coming in December, with the Demons and Prom Night coming up in
So that's
November.
The Demons, not to be confused with Demons?
Not to be confused with Demons. I'm going to do the research right now, because I feel like I gear these things up and then our listeners are all over it, like going, Duncan clearly doesn't have a fucking clue what he's on about. It's definitely not the movie that you think it is, because that would have come after the nasty list. So where are we? The Demons, come on, you piece of shit. Or Les Demons. Bet you it's a Franco movie.
Oh man, how great would that be?
It's got fucking Franco written all over it. And now that I've said that, I can't find it. I can't find there's a bit of million. Here we go. AKA Les Demons. Doesn't tell. It just tells me it was eventually released in 2008. Yeah, I can't find it. It might be a Franco movie. It could be. It couldn't be. Who knows? All I know is we're going to be covering it, and it's going to be fun. I mean, so. Mark, you do a lot of interesting things. We talk about it all the time. In fact, sorry, I have found it, Mark.
Nope.
Guess what?
Sweet.
It's Jesús Franco.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, can't wait. Gonna have some titties on the screen, yeah.
Somebody's getting whipped.
See if a whip comes out during it, like, be prepared to be like, oh my giddy aunt. Mark, you do some really cool things out there on the interwebs. Where can people check them out?
So follow me on Instagram. That's fancy_Mark. I've been trying to do a bunch of spooky toy photography here for October. So go over there. It's fancy space Mark on the letterbox. That's where you can see all the weird shit that I'm watching for festival stuff. Hopefully, a lot of which will be coming out on streaming shit here before too long, because the theaters are probably fucking toast. I think that's about it. Join the Facebook group for Doing the Nasty. Posting there occasionally. Go follow and subscribe to our friend Tony over the Video Nasty Project on YouTube. He's did something that we had covered, and I can't remember what the hell it was now.
Yeah, I can't, just recently as well. I actually meant to. I'm trying not to go through his. trying to not go through his stuff before we record like certain episodes. So I'm now watching kind of, I was going to say posthumously, but post-recording these of reviews that he's done. So I don't know if he's reviewed either Parasite or The Erotic Rites of Frankenstein yet, but I will find out post this recording. I'll find out how we marry up on opinions on this one. I know I have a vague suspicion that we once chatted like very briefly online about Franco, so and he seemed to know his shit, so it would not surprise me if he's been screaming blue-faced into his device when I mentioned the demons there, which is the demons I was thinking about. What's the one that I mentioned earlier on, by the way? It's one with nuns. So that one does have nuns, so it's the one that rips off. I'm sure it rips off the devils, if memory serves. I'm sure it rips off the devils. So yeah, what threw me is the name that pops up on the list that I have created has its French name, which is Les Demons. So that's what was throwing me, because I was like, yeah, that might not be the thing, but yeah, I'll have nuns and nudity. So be expecting, dear listeners, to be in a position where you hear both me and Mark sounding a bit hoarse and unable to sit correctly because we have fapped ourselves into oblivion.
You're getting some perversion for Christmas this year, kids, or is it Thanksgiving? One of the two.
All I got for Christmas after this viewing was calluses on my hands. There you are. Nice. Go and support Mark. Go and support Tony for sure. It'd be really cool to get him on one of these days.
I was thinking that.
Maybe reach out and bring him over to the pod. And see if we can find a movie that we can all just sit there and go, what the fuck were they thinking? But until we speak to you again, which, like I say, will be in a couple of weeks' time, we'll be back on schedule, back to the end of every month. Take care of yourselves out there. It's a crazy, crazy fucking world, and it's only going to get crazier before it gets saner. We will speak to you all in a very short time. Take care and bye.
They were called Nasties, and they were nasty.
Some of the things that we've seen are so horrific.
These films not only affect young people, but I believe they affect adults as well.
An extravaganza of gory violence capable of depraving and corrupting those who watched it.
I have never seen a video nasty. I wouldn't. I actually don't need to see what I know is in that film.